You know, whenever I review a bad game or a movie, I try very hard to find something, even if it's real minute, something that's genuinely good. A lot of times I succeed. But then there are those rare instances where no matter how hard I try or how hard I look, I just can't find anything. Legend of the Titanic was pretty damn awful, and the only reason I didn't give it an H is because this movie exists. It goes without saying that Tentacolino is an infamously bad film. It's all been leading up to this, folks. The darkest dark just before the light. That's right. Though before we can tackle this last movie, a little bit of history first. Now, I'll be completely honest with you guys. I searched and searched and searched for any kind of info behind Tentacolino's production, and I came up with nothing. Yeah, nada. This kind of makes me think that the creators of the last film made a deal with some nefarious forces in order for this film to even be a thing. So, since I couldn't find anything whatsoever concerning Tentacolino's background, I've decided to just tell my own personal tale of how I came to know about it. Back in the year 2012, I stumbled across an animated feature on TV called Romeo and Juliet Sealed with a Kiss, a cartoon retelling of the classic Shakespeare play. From what I can recall, Sealed with a Kiss was a pretty bad movie, so I looked on YouTube to see if anyone had reviewed it. That's when I discovered this gentleman here named Bob Show. In his review of Sealed with a Kiss, he mentioned that he had also reviewed the movie Tentacolino, and that's when I first heard of it. Up until then, I only knew of Titanic, The Legend Goes On, and Legend of the Titanic. I had no clue that the rabbit hole even went that deep. So I watched Bob Show's review of Tentacolino, and as I was watching, I realized that out of all three of the animated Titanic titles, this one was the most god-awful of them all. At this point, I'm expecting the worst. I guess you could say I've become a bit desensitized to it all. Yeah, it's kind of what happens when you marathon shit like this. Oh, one other thing that I should mention before getting this review underway is Mike will unfortunately not be joining us at the end to give his second opinion. When I last spoke to him, our conversation went a little something like this.
I hate this place. It's just like...
Hey, it's Kenny.
Hey, what up, Redneck?
Just wondering if you're up to reviewing the third Titanic.
Sorry, dude, I'm totally sick.
Sick? You don't sound sick.
Oh, yeah, dude, I'm super sick.
What the hell is that noise in the background?
Want some too, huh?
Yeah, it's like I'm getting punched in the face while I'm in the rain, you know, just a lot.
Make it a... He ain't getting up from that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll totally talk to you later. Yes! Yes! Yeah.
You want some too?
Hello? Hello? I haven't been able to reach him since. Well, no use in delaying the inevitable. You ready, Shasta? Alright. No turning back now. The movie begins 3 years after the events of the last movie, where Don Juan, Elizabeth, Smile, and the two mice Top and Ronnie are being lowered in this bathysphere to search for the wreckage of the Titanic. We've barely begun and the movie already throws bullshit our way. To those of y'all who don't know, the very first bathysphere wouldn't even be tested until May 1930. One thing I've noticed about this film is the apparent downgrade in the animation. I mean, it's not the worst I've ever seen for an animated feature, that honor goes to Food Fight, but definitely inferior to what was seen previously. And that was the only thing that I could praise from the last movie. Anyway, Smile looks out one of the portholes and spots the gang of sharks from the last film.
Seems to me there are a lot of nasty-looking sharks out there.
Well, it's only normal there are sharks, Smile. We're at sea. This is their home.
Kind of strange that you guys are acting so calm around those sharks, considering what they tried to do in the last movie. It should be noted that Tentacolino retcons some stuff that was established in the previous film. For instance, Older Top and his family are nowhere to be seen or even mentioned here. The film treats them like they don't even exist. The gang of sharks, unsurprisingly, start to thrash and bump against the bathysphere, and then we cut to the rapping shark.
Yo, 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 look at my teeth. They're so sharp and white and neat. They bring on fear and even some terror. Once they should, I make no error.
You know, at the end of the last review, I mentioned that I was almost convinced that Legend Goes On was a spoof of Legend of the Titanic. Well, now I really am convinced. There's no way that this is a fucking coincidence. They had to have seen Legend Goes On. I mean, why else would there be a rap number here? This movie is essentially a spoof that's spoofing another spoof. Wrap your head around that. By the way, if that shark looks familiar, it's because it's the boss shark from the last movie. He also has a name now, Razor Teeth. Anyway, we get back to the bathysphere, and now it seems that they're all starting to worry about the sharks. Though Top here is taking it all pretty damn well.
Absolutely! There is something definitely wrong here, and we're in trouble. Trust me, it's really big.
Aw man, guys, isn't the prospect of potential death just exciting? It's just gonna keep getting dumber from here. Anyway, Razor Teeth and the rest of the sharks bite through the bathysphere's support cable and it sinks down to the ocean floor. After that, Razor Teeth returns to his lair and he has this squid here, along with some other sea critters, telegraph a message to a Baron Vandertilt. By the way, gotta love how the creators thought that they were being clever by making it look like Razor Teeth was sending an email instead of a telegraph message. Next, we cut back to the bathysphere, and we're reintroduced to a familiar, derpy-looking octopus.
Adi, there are human beings inside it. They've all passed out.
No, you heard correct, folks. The character's name has been changed. Kinda weird, considering this movie is named after and kinda stars the octopus from the last film. They actually tried to rectify this problem by changing the name of Tentacolino to In Search of the Titanic, which is another name this movie goes by. Had it been up to me, had I been the one in charge, I would have went a step further and just redubbed the entire film. But something tells me that they didn't have the money to do that. So, Adi, God, what a stupid name, peers into one of the bathysphere's portholes and instantly recognizes those inside. He tries to pull it loose from the rocks, but can't. Then these characters show up.
Oh, stop that, Adi! What you're doing is useless!
I feel it's appropriate to now mention this. Tentacolino has less to do with the Titanic and much more to do with the underwater city of Atlantis, thus the mermen and the mermaids. In fact, spoiler warning, the Titanic isn't even seen until the end of the movie. I can understand that Mr. Karate was trying to go in a different direction, but Atlantis? I don't get the connection. In other words, we'll probably hurt our brains trying to figure it out. We then cut to this Spanish galleon here, and we're yet again reintroduced to a familiar face. Also, remember how this guy was called Maltravers in the last movie? Well, it's been changed to that Baron Vandertilt name from earlier. Don't ask me why these characters had their names changed. Something went fucking wrong when they localized this film. Because I'm pretty sure that the Italian version didn't change any of the names at all. Anyway, Vandertilt and his little yes-man Jeffries are still alive. I assume it's because when they got lost at sea in the first movie, they were eventually picked up by one of his whaling ships. You folks are probably also wondering where the stepmother is, seeing as how she was last seen with Vandertilt and Jeffries. Well, just like Top's family, this film treats her as if she doesn't even exist. Whatever. Vandertilt is given Razorteeth's message, and he tells Jeffries to keep his fleet of submarines at a constant state of alertness. We then get back to the bathysphere where the Atlanteans, along with some help from Audie, save the heroes by spraying bubbles on their heads. They then take them back to Atlantis.
Oh. Huh? Hey, what's happening?
Don't worry.
Help! I'm dead! Come help me! Help me! This isn't happening!
Keep calm.
So the heroes and the Atlanteans arrive within the city, and Smile is told that they will be given a treatment in a hospital.
Alright, but are you sure there won't be any nasty surprises?
Okay, that was a pretty weird scene cut. We're then introduced to... oh, fuck. This character.
At last, we've got a reason to party! I'll organize the most breathtaking party yet. One that'll stay in the memories of everyone forever!
This is Pingo, everyone. A spring-loaded, hyperactive toy fish. Just when you thought that they couldn't make any more weird shit, they add this motherfucker. I would say that he looks creative as a character, maybe even something that Sid from Toy Story would have created. But that would be comparing Tentacolino to a movie that's way, way better, and I'm just not gonna do that. Also, this film already has its own herp-de-derp character. Did it really need another one? Anyway, we're also introduced to these two, whom are just simply referred to as the King and Queen. We learn from the Queen that the treatment that the heroes are receiving will give them eternal youth and life, as well as letting them breathe underwater. Pingo is then sent off to greet the heroes, and the film cuts to the hospital where Don Juan, Elizabeth, and the rest of the group are undergoing the treatment.
To be able to complete the treatment, you have to drink the elixir before you visit the city. Ah, here it is now.
Of course. Keep calm. If they wanted to harm us, they wouldn't have saved us. And this elixir is such a pretty color. Come on, drink.
You want to know what else has a pretty color? Antifreeze. What? It was an homage to Bob's show. After drinking the elixir, they're then given a mini tour of Atlantis, and then they stop at this palace.
We are expected by His Excellency Pingo, Counselor to His Majesty. He would like to speak to the new arrivals.
Huh? I don't believe it. Aren't those toys?
Yeah, apparently toys are given the elixir too, and when it's administered to them, they come alive. Kinda begs the question though, did life-size toys exist back in the 1910s? The answer is no. In fact, it was electric trains that were popular during that era. They enter the palace and they're greeted by even more toys as well as Pingo.
I now officially declare you new inhabitants of Atlantis!
Welcome to Atlantis, where everything's a dream, and it's a special place. We have a king and have a queen. Here is a surprise. Atlantis is the only place where you always stay awake.
Don't wanna get fresh, you can swim around at the fish hotel. It's a real cool sound.
You know, in the last review I said the music was kinda bad, but that was more of a nitpick on my end. In this movie, however, the music really is bad. No joke, it's freaking terrible. Though am I really surprised? This is Tentacolino after all. I need a beer. Cheers.
But one thing I've got to tell you. Up there, you can't go back.
As it's explained by the king, everyone who lives in Atlantis is forbidden to go to the surface because they may tell others of the city's existence. In other words, they're all hostages. Later, we see Smile, Top, and Ronnie exploring more of Atlantis. Smile catches sight of a female dog, and he goes off to hit on her. Top and Ronnie are then approached by a pirate mouse and a kung fu mouse.
You're the new guys, right?
Yes, but what do you want?
You're Lottie, right? We have to be careful. I take it you two would like to leave Atlantis, right?
Top and Ronnie decide to follow the two other mice for really no reason at all, and we cut to this awkward scene with that female dog and Smile. I don't know what the fuck it is about this scene, but it makes me cringe. Also, this scene between these two goes on for a lot longer than it should. If you were watching this film, you'd want to light up too. After following the pirate and kung fu mice, Top and Ronnie arrive at an open porthole. They dive in and then resurface in a cave where this mouse, who calls himself the Emperor, is giving a speech about stealing the elixir and world domination.
And thanks to the elixir, we'll be able to conquer the world and rule over everyone!
The introduction to the Emperor brings to light one notable issue with this movie. There are too many villains. In my opinion, Razorteeth and Vandertilt should be Tentacolino's only main villains. They were both in the previous film, so it makes sense. But then we have the Emperor, and to me, he's kind of unnecessary. I mean, think about it. Razorteeth and Vandertilt masterminded the sinking of one of the largest ships ever built. It would be just as easy for them to steal the elixir as it would be for this guy. Anyway, Top and Ronnie tell Don Juan and Elizabeth about the bad guys, and they inform the king about the planned theft of the elixir.
But if they dismantle me with a screwdriver, I'll die, won't I?
No, calm down. No one's going to take you apart.
No one will hurt you. They'll have to have a screwdriver, and down here in Atlantis there are no screwdrivers. They've all been banned. Bob Show bought this up in his review of Tentacolino. Atlantis is shown to be this technologically advanced city, but yet tools such as screwdrivers are banned. How the hell did anything get built then? More importantly, why are screwdrivers banned? Why? I mean, is it because Pingo has an irrational fear of them? If that's the case, which I really wouldn't be surprised if it was, then that's just stupid. Actually, I do as well. So the king decides to thwart the bad guys' plans by having Top and Ronnie gain their trust, and by replacing the elixir with a decoy.
Ronnie and Top Connors will have to gain the trust of the rebels' leader and do everything they tell them to, even if it means stealing the elixir of life. No arguments. Do you understand? We'll replace the flask of elixir with a false one, which will be full of water.
Okay, who is this guy? No, seriously, who the fuck is this guy? He lives in and rules a hidden city that nobody will ever discover. He has an elixir that can give you eternal youth and immortality, as well as making it to where you could breathe underwater, and he could pretty much will things into existence. So who is he? Is he a really powerful wizard? Is he an alchemist? An alien? God? I wish the film would explain, because that would actually be interesting. The mice break into the altar room where the elixir is being kept, and they try to take it. However, Pingo and Smile show up so that the real elixir can be replaced with the decoy.
Now hit me and run. Oh!
After that phony scuffle, the mice escape with the fake elixir. We then get back to the king and the other heroes.
And what shall we do now, Your Majesty?
We'll follow them. We'll fight them.
And the movie has contradicted itself by having the king send his army against the bad guys, even though the elixir that they have is a fake. I'm not really surprised. The last film contradicted itself numerous times, so why shouldn't the sequel?
The Emperor tells Razorteeth that they have the elixir, and Razorteeth tells Vandertilt about the impending counterattack from the Atlanteans.
And it's also perfectly clear that the risk of losing the treasure is very high. Give the order to launch the mini-submarine so we can help the rats and sharks in the battle against the mermen and mermaids.
It kind of makes me wonder where the hell he got those submarines in the first place. Maybe he traded in his whaling vessels or something. Anyway, the battle between the mice, sharks, and Atlanteans begins, and the bad guys seem to be on the losing end. Whilst that's going on, the king decides to send reinforcement toy soldiers.
A little girl. Tell me, what is your name, my child?
I'm called Brumali, Your Majesty, but I'm not a little girl. I'm dolled up like this because I fell into the hands of a little girl who thought she'd put a wig on me when she saw me with this skirt on. You get it?
This toy's whole problem could be solved by simply taking the wig off and wiping the makeup away. It's like the characters have zero common sense.
Anyway, the toys start to fire cannons and lasers at the submarines, and some fucking how this doesn't hurt the guys within the subs.
Hey, do you know what's going on? What are we doing here? How did we get in the water?
Wait a second. Those lasers can make it to where you can have amnesia? Well, why the shit didn't they use that on Don Juan, Elizabeth, and the others after saving them?
Vandertilt's boat gets hit with a laser, and he and Jeffries forget everything, the sharks get their asses handed to them by Audie, and the mice get away with the fake elixir. After that humiliating defeat, the mice are now in New York, where the Emperor tries to convince other mice that they can enslave the Earth. This older mouse here doesn't buy it for a second, though, and they decide to try out the fake elixir on him. But surprise, surprise! It doesn't work, and the Emperor along with his entourage are placed under arrest.
We've won! We've won! We're the best! We're the best!
And the movie has... You know what? No, never mind. This movie sucks ass. I need another beer.
So the king and queen decide that the heroes should be rewarded for helping defend Atlantis. I'd argue that they really didn't do much, but what the fuck ever. I didn't make this piece of shit. We then cut to this scene where we see that the Titanic has been rebuilt and retrofitted with Atlantean tech. Then this giant stingray shows up to help Audie and Pingo move it to a quote-unquote forgotten island. The reward that the heroes receive is pretty much just getting marooned on an uncharted island with a boat that can't go anywhere.
Here is the reward we promised you. This island is now yours, and this will be your new home. This is a secret island, unreachable by anyone, and here you will live happily ever after.
They could have just sent them back to, live with their families, but nope. The movie is trying to throw as much bullshit as it can at the audience before it mercifully gets to the fucking end credits.
The king then leads Don Juan, Elizabeth, Smile, Top, and Ronnie to a mirror that allows them to see what's going on everywhere in the world. We then see how it works as it shows what became of the Emperor and his band of other mice. Apparently, they were all sent to an insane asylum.
Doctor, you must believe me. I'm not mad. I'm not like them. Let me go. Let me go! I must return to Atlantis and take the real elixir of life. I was betrayed. Someone replace the flask! Doctor, if you let me go, you'll become the Emperor's personal doctor. Trust me. The world.
He's got a really big personality, but unfortunately there's no hope for him. He's as mad as a hatter. He keeps, talking about Atlantis, of mermen and mermaids, of conquering the world. I'm afraid we'll have to keep him in here forever.
After that bullshit scene, we get another one where the heroes and the Atlanteans have a little dance party. It goes nowhere, and it's annoying. We have a final kiss scene between Don Juan and Elizabeth because apparently it was necessary even though they're fucking married, and the film decides to just randomly end. Oh, but it doesn't stop there, folks, because this film had to suck in every way possible. Even the end credits are terrible. I think of this as the final middle finger to the audience from the creators.
This movie gets an H for horrendous. Not a big shocker, I know.
I don't know what to say. I don't even know what's worse. The fact that this film was made, or the fact that Mr. Karate thought that it needed to be made. You want to know, though, what the absolute worst part is about Tentacolino? It's that everything that was bad about Legend of the Titanic is made even worse here. The characters are even more stupid and annoying, the villains are even more of a joke, the plot is beyond fucking idiotic, the music is shit, the dubbing is shit, Tentacolino is shit. I can't make that any more clear. Now I'll be honest though, this isn't really the worst movie I've ever seen. That dishonor goes to a title that I won't even mention because I hate it so much. However, this is the worst film I've reviewed thus far, and it's definitely the worst animated feature I've reviewed too. Granted, after reviewing Tentacolino, I feel that I can now take on reviews concerning video game related cartoons and such, because I remember a lot of those, and some of them give this movie a run for its money in terms of how bad they are.
You got that right. But the good news is, you and I never have to watch that movie again. I'll consider that my own Christmas present for the year. Well, folks, it's time for me and this here mutt to hang up our hats for the holidays. But 2019 promises to be a very good year for us. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays, and as always, y'all come back now, alright?